Hello, everyone, and welcome to Grandstand Sports Data, your go to channel for sports, statistics, and unbiased handicapping. In today's video, we are giving you the third volume in our The Edge of the Grandstand series titled Your Sports Betting Patterns vs. the Bookie. We are going to show you how tracking your own results can help you identify winning strategies and eliminate costly mistakes. So let's get right into it. Tracking the reasons behind picking a game and measuring those variables is essential for sports bettors to improve their strategies and outcomes. Here are the top reasons why the practice is so crucial. First is going to be identifying strengths. Tracking helps you spot your strengths. By looking at the factors behind your past bets, you can see which ones lead to wins and which ones do not. Maybe you're great at analyzing team chemistry, or you have a knack for picking the right underdog based on their scheme versus an opponent. Knowing what factors work best for you will give you an edge and improve your chance of winning. Next would be eliminate weaknesses. On the flip side, tracking also shows you where you mess up or what variables to stay away from. I always tell my story here about when I first started fundamentally handicapping. I overvalued coaching in the NBA. So, by keeping track of the factors behind your bets, you can find patterns in your mistakes. Spotting these weak points helps you avoid them and throw them away. Moving on to number three, you need to learn yourself and the sport. Tracking the factors behind your bets also helps you learn more about yourself versus the market. Do you have a deeper understanding of some sports more than others? Can you see factors that the bookmakers can't necessarily spot and put into the line? By tracking your factors and their results, you will learn a ton about yourself and the sport you are handicapping. Finally, is accountability. Tracking keeps you accountable. When you write down the reasons behind each bet, you're less likely to make impulsive decisions. It makes you think twice and stick to a plan. This keeps your betting disciplined and prevents you from making dumb bets that you'll regret later. So the goal here always at Grandstand Sports Data is not to make you the most richest guy in the world in betting sports. What we're trying to do is make you place the smart bets on a daily basis, or even if you don't play on a daily basis and you're playing for the long term, just to make you a smarter, better overall. Make sure to subscribe to our channel if you like our content and hit that like button as it shows us you want more similar content that you see here. Tracking the reasons behind why you picked a particular game and measuring those variables can help improve your sports betting strategies. So, we're going to run through the steps to do this effectively. Step one is going to be define your factors. First, let's talk about the factors that influence why you pick a game. There are two main types, there's fundamental and then there's technical. Remember from our first video in volume 1, any technical factor or statistic can be used in the correlation coefficient that we showed you. But today, we're focusing on fundamental factors. These are the ones that don't always have a clear number and require a bit more thinking to figure out. For example, in our recent free agency videos, we created numbers to represent player quality. Just because a factor doesn't have an obvious stat doesn't mean you can't create one. The options here are endless. These are just broad categories, and you'll need to dig deeper into each one of these for your specific sport. So step two will be creating a tracking system. Next, you need to set up a system to record your picks and the reason behind each one. This can be as simple as using a spreadsheet like the one that you see here, or as advanced as specialized sports betting software. The key is to track your key performance metrics. We'll talk about those later. If you want to get fancy though, you can add more categories or even create numbers for different factors. The more detailed, the better. But it also means more work, so just keep that in mind. So next is going to be logging in your games. You're going to log all the games that fit your factors criteria and place ghost bets on them. What's a ghost bet, you might ask? It's a hypothetical bet where you track the outcome without using real money. This helps you test your strategies and analyze betting patterns without risking any cash. So that's the whole point of this, is to take our factor and to test it in the long run and make sure that it's proven before we implement it into our strategy. As you can see, here are some examples of factors that we have taken from various places. Uh, the first one would be coaching. This was simply a bettor who thinks that he has an edge in knowing who the better coach is and who's not the better coach. It's a very simple strategy on his part. He thought Andy Reid is a better coach than Kyle Shanahan, and that's what made him place his bet. That was the factor. That was it. No numbers, no nothing involved. The next one was travel. And travel in terms of the UFC. This was a fight at UFC 300 where Justin Gaethje was fighting Max Holloway. This certain bettor thought that traveling for Max Holloway all the way from Hawaii to Las Vegas was going to be more strenuous on his body than it was going to be for Justin Gaethje, therefore placed the bet on Gaethje. Next is another bettor's approach in terms of physicality when it came to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup. This bettor thought the Florida Panthers were the more physical team based on hits, blocked shots, regular season fights, penalty minutes. All of that accounted into his physicality factor and made him select the Florida Panthers in that specific game. Next is a weather, and this is a weather alert here. In terms of baseball, a lot of people who handicap the game will look at wind. When the wind blows out, that means the ball travels more. They'll also add in a little bit of spice and make sure that none of the aces are starting in that particular game. So the wind blowing out factor is going to translate into overs. They thought San Francisco and the St. Louis Cardinals were going to get more than 8.5 runs in that particular game. The next and final example is going to be expected goals. And this was expected goals in terms of a website that bettors would go on and see how many expected goals were, basically, for lack of a better word, expected in this game. If the number was over 2, this indicated betting the over. So those are just a few examples that some bettors may uh, tally or keep track of in terms of factors, but you, of course, have to create your own. So now it's time to confirm the strategy. You're going to test your factor's accuracy by comparing its predictions with the actual results. To get reliable results, you need a big enough sample size. For example, if you flip a coin 10 times, you might get heads 7 times and tails 3 times. But that doesn't mean the odds are 70% heads and 30% tails on that coin. The sample size is just way too small. What I do is I apply my factor to every game on the slate for my respective sport. And remember, we're ghost betting here. There's no real money involved. The goal is to test the factor thoroughly. Step 5 is going to be to analyze your data. Once you have enough data for your factor, it's time to see how each variable impacts your betting results. Here's how to break it down. You're going to want to measure return on investment, also known as ROI. This is the best performance indicator because it shows how much you would have won based on what you hypothetically bet. It's like seeing the bang for your buck. Next is going to be profit and loss, and you can also do it in units. So this gives you a clear cash number for your return, showing if you're in the green or in the red. Using units is great for talking with other bettors as well. So for example, you might tell a buddy, my travel factor is up 3.17 units in the MMA this year. And they'll know how to adjust that specific number to their bet size to know their own profit if they tailed you. And tailing means just placing the same bets as you. Next would be win percentage. And this is useful for money lines and shows you if your factor wins more than it loses. But remember, a high win percentage doesn't always mean it's profitable since it doesn't consider the odds. So once you have your data, it's time to optimize your strategy. Look at which factors gave you the highest ROI, the best profit or loss ratio, and then the most consistent win percentages. The goal here is to tweak your approach to maximize your chances of success. Make sure to keep adjusting until you find what works best for you. So as you can see here, this is from our playoff recap videos. So if you're subscribed here to Grandstand Sports Data, this is not foreign territory for you. You've seen some of the factors that we analyze in terms of the betting world, and then we put numbers to it. The thing is here is that this is only tracking the last 2 years because that's when we started the channel, even though we have numbers dating back to when we first started in terms of our blog numbers of years ago. Starting with the first thing that we look at when optimizing the strategy would be the sample size. Remember, is it a big enough sample size? I would say that none of these factors, both NHL and NBA, have a big enough sample size. These would be series. So this would be 29 series total in the NBA for the last 2 years. It's just not enough. It's not enough to see if this factor is, if it has any weight to it, if it is a proven factor or not. We still need for it to, continue to play out. The next thing I look at, other than just the sample size, will be the factor itself. Maybe it's not the factor, maybe it's the variable within. What does that mean? Well, let me show you. Coaching in terms of the NHL, what we do when analyzing this factor is we take the coaching in terms of each coach. So, say if it was the Florida Panthers versus the Edmonton Oilers, and we would take both coaches' past playoff record or win percentage, and then whoever the edge leaned towards, that's who we picked. So, maybe it's not that we're the coaching factor that's wrong. Maybe it's the variable we're using. Maybe us leaning on win percentage in the playoff is not necessarily working out. So those are the two ways that you can optimize, or you can, I guess, tweak. Number one is the sample size. You need to make sure that it's playing out for the longevity. So some people may look right at Corsi for percentage in terms of our factor that we have here and say, hey, it's winning across the board. Yes, but it's only been in 29 series. We would like more than that. And then next was the variable within the factor. Are you using the correct variable within that factor? Or even if it's not a variable, maybe it's just us thinking in terms of the market. Remember a few slides ago? Maybe just in our head we say which one's the better coach and fundamentally analyze that way instead of using win percentage. Now that you've optimized your strategy, it's time to put those winning factors into action. Start using these refined factors into your actual betting routine. Let me give you a demonstration. Let's say you're a person who runs your initial handicap with a model every single Tuesday morning. And what it does is it projects scores for the upcoming NFL slate. You see one of these games is the Detroit Lions defeating Philadelphia 27-21. Now this game sticks out to you, but not because of the score, but because you've been keeping track of teams who have had one or more days rest as one of your factors, and whether they cover the spread or not. You remember that Philly played last Sunday afternoon while Detroit played Monday night. And as you can see from that factor in the last 236 occurrences has 136 wins and 100 losses, giving it a win percentage of 57.6, making it up in the betting world with 23.42 units. Now, what this does is it makes you run to the market. You need to see if these two predictions give you an actual edge in that game. As you can see, both from your model with being a +6, so you have a 1 point edge as the betting lines are a +7 for Philadelphia. So this satisfies your model's prediction. And it also satisfies your factor's predictions. So, since you can see that it satisfies both the model and the factor, you go run to the market and you place that bet on the +7 for Philadelphia. Remember, the goal is to make smarter, more informed bets with a higher chance of success. Keep tracking your results, stay disciplined, and stick to your plan. Over time, this will help you make better decisions and see better results in your sports betting. So, if you want to make smarter decisions and place better bets, be sure to subscribe to our channel. We believe our content is unmatched in this space. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to let us know you want more of this content. Don't forget to leave a comment with your thoughts and share this video with your friends. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.